Hello, and welcome to another episode of Break the Cycle with me, your host, Joshua Smith. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Thursday. It's the weekend almost, guys. Congrats. You made another week in the history books, and we didn't have any nuclear war or fallout, so we're doing better than some. Guys, so we got a great show for you tonight. I'm very, very excited. As you noticed on the marquee, as Alfred put it earlier in the live chat, there's a special guest supposed to be here, but our special guest is having internet issues, so we may not have the special guest, unfortunately. I hope everyone is not completely brokenhearted. Yeah, so a lot of things have happened in the movement over the last couple weeks. We've been seeing a lot of it online, and we wanted to get into that. But before we do, let's start off with some sponsors. Of course, we have toplobster.com, the man, the myth, the legend, my good friend and partner on Break the Cycle, where you can get this great Break the Cycle pillow that you see on my couch every single show by using BTC at checkout, or you can become a member of the YouTube or the Patreon, the Subscribe Star, become a member of my YouTube under all of my channels by hitting the join link, where you can get into a private Discord server and get up to 10% or 30% off of all of Top Lobster's new gear up to 2 weeks before it goes to the general public. Really great stuff. And if you guys have been following along, I have a Top Lobster shirt tonight that I'm going to be auctioning off on the show. I was in Florida for the Florida State Convention, not last weekend, but the weekend before. And I got this wonderful Top Lobster Murray Rothbard, as Dave Smith is Murray Rothbard shirt that you see here. It actually comes from No Way Jose's show, because he does this kind of mashup show where they read other philosophers' books. Anyways, so Top Lobster made this graphic for him, but you may not be able to see it on there. He's got signatures all over his face and neckline, including himself right on the forehead, Top Lobster, Angela McCardle, Mike Mahari from the 10th Amendment Center, No Way Jose, Fat Dave, Clint from Liberty Lockdown, Larry Sharp, myself, and also the surpriser on there is at the very bottom, down here underneath the bow tie, is Justin Amash's signature as well. So this is signed by a lot of really cool people in the movement, and I'm going to be auctioning it off tonight. So if you guys want to take part in the auction, this is the way it's going to work tonight. You're going to drop $1 or higher super chats with your bid amount and the price that you are willing to pay for this shirt. The highest bid at the end of the show will win the shirt. I'll get your address. I'll send it to you. If we raise enough money, I'll go and get it framed for you as well and ship it to you framed. It's a really, really cool shirt. It is a large shirt, but I doubt you're going to be wanting to wear this or wash it with all the cool signatures that it's got on it. So if you guys want to do that, you can start that at any time. Like I said, drop $1 super chats with the bid or the bid price that you have in the auction. By the end of the show of the public stream, whoever's got the highest bid will win the shirt. Yeah, that's how we're going to do it. And we'll go into the private show, the members only show after this for YouTube members and patrons and Subscribe Star people to talk more shit about, John Waldenberger probably. But if you want to get the shirt, you got to do it during the public show. And that money is going to go to support our good friend Top Lobster, who has put in tons and tons and tons of work in this movement for everyone, from me to Dave Smith to No Way Jose to Clint from Liberty Lockdown. Now he works for Odyssey. The guy's drawn Rose McGowan for Rose McGowan on Odyssey. I mean, he does all kinds of really great things for the movement. So we need to support him, and this is a great way to do that. Guys, also check out my other sponsor, executive producer of the show, anthemplanning.com, for all your emergency and crisis planning needs. Check them out today, see what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. They're doing a wonderful job that the government has historically sucked at, much cheaper and much more efficiently. Seriously, if you own a business, check them out as soon as this show is over. I promise you it's going to be worth it. They're going to be able to do something really great for you guys. So my guest tonight, the man, the myth, the legend, my good friend, man, for a long time, my brother in arms. He is the founder of the Mises Caucus and everybody's nightmare, Mr. Michael Heise. Sir, how are you doing tonight?
The villain.
The villain.
What's going on, man?
It's funny because everyone treats you like you're the Libertarian Party heel, but it's really Nick Sarwark, dude. You know what I mean?
Well, I like to think of myself as the MF Doom of the Libertarian Party, just the illest villain.
Yeah. Actually, hey, sometimes the villain's the good guy. I mean, you could be a benevolent villain, dude. You know what I mean? And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that do think we're the villains. And that's that's okay.
I wouldn't say a lot. Say a lot.
It used to be more people thought we were villains than thought we weren't villains. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You remember
That's certainly changed in the past year and a half. I'd say that.
Dude, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. The system is down. What's up, Dan Smott? $5 super chat. Thanks, man. He said, Dave Smith is a coward. I know he redeemed himself, but I can't let it go at this point. Yeah, he is a coward. No, he texted me a little while ago and said he was having some internet issues and he didn't know if he's going to be able to make it or not, which sucks because I love my friend Dave and I want to have him on the show, but I also understand as somebody who's had a lot of internet issues over the last couple months. By the way, we just hit a year of Break the Cycle. March 3rd was the year, and this is episode 150 in 1 year. So thank you for being my 150. Yeah, hell yeah, man. Patrick Leisner, thanks for the $10 super chat, man. He said, Josh, if that shirt goes for less than 100, I'll be disappointed. Is that your initial bid, Patrick? Are you bidding $100? Because that's how you do it right there. Mike, so let's talk about what's been going on, man. I unfortunately had to miss the Pennsylvania convention. It was like the one that I really, really, really wanted to make it to this year. I signed up to become a member of the Pennsylvania State Party last year, right after their convention. Unfortunately, we had some stuff go down at work, and I just couldn't get away for the weekend. But what was the feeling like for you going into the convention, dude?
So I was pretty confident, but at the same time, you never know what's going to happen, who's going to show up. I still, at this point, have this thing where like, man, no one's going to fucking show up. You know what I mean? Like, I still think that way. That was not the case, man. I mean, it was the biggest state convention that we've ever had. There was like something like 340 credentialed voters. And the numbers that we were projecting are like 160 to 170 in state and upwards of like 60 out of state just to us. So we felt that we had it. And they had early credentialing on Friday before, business. And when that opened up, that's when I knew that we had it. Cause it was like a Mises bomb went off, where it was kind of sparse before that, but everyone flooded it. And it was just very high energy, a lot of hugs, seeing a lot of people, a lot of new people that have gotten involved in the past year. And, it was just so good to see it pay off. And then, when we got to the business, the very first standing vote where it just looked like the wave in a sporting event. Like it was just like 300 people just, and that's when I knew like, oh, we got this in the bag, man. So it felt really good, man, because we got some villains here in this state who got their just come up and really deserved it.
And there's some beautiful, beautiful video of it as well, man. I really, there's some people in your state that have been really fucking terrible to me. You know what I mean? And not just me, all of us, but me specifically, especially. And so it is really nice. And you, of course. Yeah. As well. Yeah. And it's so funny because we'll get into the whole mechanics of how the convention went down and stuff. But at the end of it, these people either left halfway through to go get massages. Good job, Jen Moore. You're killing it as a chair. Or they took immediately to social media to start calling for our arrest.
Yeah.
That's the funniest shit.
I heard I knocked out like 8 people. Somebody pulled a gun, and it was the rumor mongering is pretty funny, man.
Well, and it all started with Nick Sarwark. It all started with Nick Sarwark too. That's the funny part. So why don't you explain what actually happened? So this is as soon as it went to social media, it was Michael Heise threw a punch, incited a brawl inside the convention, and I'm going, in my head, I'm like, good. You know what I mean? Like, if that's the true story, fucking good. I hope it felt good. Like, I know what kind of catharsis that would be for me, and I know what kind of catharsis that would be for you because we've been through the same shit for a long time. But That's not what happened. Why don't you explain what actually happened?
So you got to understand the context of what was going on first. So, like, you made an allusion to Jen Moore, our chair, at midnight the night before business, she sent out an email to the board of directors saying that she wasn't going to show up. She wasn't going to attend or chair the convention. And while everyone's arguing the agenda, that she's going to be getting a massage. So that put Bill Sloan and Sam Robb, 2 of the vice chairs that were left. The Eastern vice chair had already resigned. Put them in charge of chairing the meeting. Bill Sloan isn't a bad guy, but he does tend towards them. And Sam Robb, on the other hand, is one of the big donors to the Libertarian Defense Fund, as it were.
Really?
And yeah. And I used to be cool with him, and he puts on a good front and talks a good game, but he became progressively more and more of a hater ever since last convention, and really even before that. And just kind of tried to hide it. And over time, it got worse and worse. And, he was trying to block Mises people from being involved in committees. And so, but I wanted to give them a chance and see how it would go. But it became pretty clear pretty quick that the goal of the people chairing the meeting was to not let business happen. And like I said, that first standing vote, I mean, it wasn't just that we had 2/3. It was like 80-20 at worst.
Right.
It might have been more than 80-20, to be honest with you. And
they got scared immediately.
It got scared, and they were just ignoring objections, ignoring points of order, ignoring calls to question. It was making small talk from the mic, like just pacing around from the stage, not saying anything for periods of time. And so we had stuff that we had an agenda. We had stuff that we wanted to get done. And I crafted an agenda because Jen never even put one forward. So I crafted an agenda from scratch, sent that in. And that was like the first big motion that they knew that they were in trouble, is where we got the agenda that we wanted passed. So that's where like the filibustering really started. So once I saw that this was the game, that they just weren't trying to do shit with the convention, I made a motion to suspend the rules to declare the chair vacant and put Ken Krawchuk in and to chair the meeting or chair the convention. And this is where things started to get heightened because, we went through all the debate, all questions were called. There was nothing left to do except, have a vote. And everybody knew exactly what was going to happen once that vote happened. So they just stalled and got to the point where people were starting to yell at them from the crowd, like, stop stalling, have a vote, and they just kept doing it. It got to the point where I walked up to one of the mics and said, everybody that wants to replace the chair, please stand. And the whole room stood. And it was like, again, it was just starkly obvious, what the result was going to be, and that they were trying to just filibuster. So they, even at that point, they kept doing it. And so my buddy Mitch in Schuylkill County, he got to the mic and basically demanded that they hold a vote.
Is that how you say that county name? I've seen it, and I always wondered. I was like, how the hell do you say that?
Yeah, Schuylkill. And again, I can't even pronounce. I'm not gonna lie, I can't pronounce it. He's a friend of mine. I can't pronounce his last name, but like Sam Robb was purposely like making fun of his last name from the stage and not helping things. And well, as he's up there demanding a vote, this dude named Willie grabbed the microphone and made off with it. And somebody grabbed the other microphone on the other side of the room and made off with it. So like, we're talking a literal seizure of the convention. Like the chair is refusing to move business, and people are taking the mics and like trying to do a little like Bolshevik revolution or some shit. And Mitch wasn't having it. So he went after Willie and retrieved the microphone. And I saw that happen. Now, Mitch, I know Mitch. He's got a heart monitor. He's on oxygen. He just had like a COVID pneumonia stay in the hospital for a little while recently. Yeah. And he hasn't been right ever since. He's actually got a GoFundMe to pay for his oxygen machine. So if you want to put that in your show notes.
Yeah, I'll put it in there. I shared it the other day for my Twitter as well. He's a good dude, man.
Yeah, he is. And so he went and retrieved the microphone from Willie. And after he did that, I saw Willie, kind of walk, into him and kind of chest him. And again, I know what I know about Mitch, and he's my friend. So I fucking jumped up, ran over, yelling, "You ain't gonna fucking touch him! You ain't gonna fucking touch him!" And so I got in between them and looked at Willie in the face and said, "Dude, you ain't gonna touch him. In fact, you ain't fucking touching nobody."
Right.
And then he did it to me. He walked into me and chested me. So I gave him a shoulder check, and he went down. And I said, "I'm not fucking playing with you. You're not gonna fucking touch anybody." And that's where things kind of, hit their peak. And, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I knew the room had me no matter what. So, but that's when security came down, and, they kind of put an end to everything. And I think they pretty much said, like, you can have your little bitch fit, but this is our property. These are our microphones. Right. Like, you're not going to make off with our shit. So at that point, I think the people chairing the meeting were defeated, and they kind of knew, like, damn, they're going to take this all away. So the vote finally went through, and they were removed. They had both resigned, and Ken was up there by himself chairing the meeting. But the funny thing is ever since then, the whole convention went smooth.
Super smooth. Yeah, absolutely. I had to sit at work while you guys, basically I worked Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So like the entire time you guys were having daytime convention stuff, I was watching the live stream from work. So I got to see a lot of it. I did unfortunately miss that one episode, but I saw enough angles of it from different people who had cell phone footage that I knew right away that Nick Sarr was full of shit, because Nick is the one that put that out. You know what I mean? He was the one, and then all his little fucking stupid minions went running around with it like, oh yeah, Michael Heise threw punches at somebody and started a brawl inside the convention hall, and he's talking about you going to jail and all this shit, and I'm like, dude, that is not what happened at all. Literally,
that's just their fantasies, because they can't control this shit anymore.
I wish you would have.
Can't control is the shit that they talk.
It would have been legendary and epic if you had. I mean, honest to God, had I been there, you know what I mean? Like it probably, there was some people there that were talking shit, saying they were going to fight me and stuff if I showed up. So, I mean, like your buddy Vincent Stoops and
he wasn't even there.
I know, who thinks he's like such a tough guy. And then I showed up to the Philadelphia State Convention last year or 2 years ago, and he's like, hey man, sorry about all that. Would you sit for my camera? And I'm like, oh, you're not tough at all, dude, at all. But we got some really good footage of the losers, like actually like publicly losing it. We got footage of John Waldenberger resigning from the party to thunderous applause.
Yep.
And Nick Sarwark.
There's one really funny thing missing from that though. Like, because his resignation and the mic drop and the cheering and all of that is on there. But what isn't in that one clip that made the rounds that was really funny is as he stormed off stage, he walked past one of the microphones for the voters and grabbed that microphone and goes, and fuck you, Ken Krawchuk.
And Ken, it's funny because Ken is like a reasonable dude. He wasn't even Mises Caucus. I think those people like drove him to the Mises Caucus, right? But he wasn't even Mises Caucus. He was like a reasonable guy in the party. And
he's a 30-year guy here.
And he's like the nicest fucking dude in the entire world. There's not a bad bone in King Krawchuk's body, dude. Like the guy is just like, if you've ever had a conversation with him, he's just like the nicest guy in the world. And for you to hate that person says more about your character than it does about Ken Krawchuk's character.
Yeah, super, super jovial. And I think everyone saw that because there was a lot of new people. He was one of the people that the establishment here was all talking shit and, oh, he's running a kangaroo court on the JC and blah, 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 blah. But then he got up there, diffused the whole tension, added a whole bunch of levity and wasn't rule mongering. It was a little bit more informal, but I think that's the thing that allowed it to be, to be productive. And I think a lot of people who may have only heard bad things about him got to see who he really is, which is this jovial, beer loving, Toastmaster loving, 30-year-long party guy, And,
right. Yeah. And he does really like Toastmasters. The guy is obsessed with Toastmasters. That's the first thing he asked me when I met him. Hey, are you Toastmaster? I said, no, not yet, but right. I will be. So I want to say, let's see, let's go back here for a second. We got our first 2 bids for the shirt. Started with Chris Jones for $1. Thank you, sir. But Almighty Beach dropped a $50 bid on this awesome shirt. If you haven't seen it, it's Dave Smith as Murray Rothbard, signed by myself, Angela McCardle, Top Lobster, Dave Smith, Justin Amash, Larry Sharp, Mike Mahari from the 10th Amendment Center, No Way Jose, Clint from Liberty Lockdown, and Fat Dave as well. So if you want to get your bids in, drop a super chat with your bid above $50 by the end of the show. Whoever has the highest bid will win that. Let's see. Benjamin Held, thanks for the $5 super chat. He said, you need a Josh Smith to call the questions for votes, speeds the process along. That's what I did. That's what I always do, but in Iowa especially, because we had an old past chair running the Iowa State Convention who was very, very by the book and slow. And so I would just immediately run up to the mic and call a question because I knew it was going to take an hour for everything. And we got through business pretty fast, man. It was really, really good. But so why don't you tell me about how the outcome of the convention was? So you guys had to vote on new officers for the party, new Eastern, Western, and Central vice chairs. Is that how you guys do that there?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you had the chairman, the vice, the secretary, and the treasurer, right? That's all. That's your guys' board for the state.
Yep.
And so how did that go? How did that process go?
We swept all of them. I mean, there was very short, if any, debates. I think people, because I know us and our people, we had several meetings, we had several Q&As, we had, I think people came into the meeting already kind of knowing what they wanted to do.
Sure.
So we just swept through all of that stuff. So we swept every position on the executive board. And then in addition to that, the standing committees here each have a vote on the board. And then each of the counties has a vote on, well, each of the counties that has 12 members gets a vote on the board. And we were already the majority of the board before taking all of the officers. So now that got added, and there's probably going to be some changes on the committees as well, because, people are quitting and making up stories about what happened. And, and that kind of stuff, like it's I'm ambivalent about it. Like there is kind of that that they're leaving thing, like element to it. But at the same time, we took our lumps last year. They were able to keep out all the new members for the first time in the history of the party, and that enabled them to win. And I never left Mark Bizzacco hanging from the floor. I stayed and supported him, even though he was going to lose, and so did everybody else.
Right, and that's what you do.
People, right. And these people just up, and they were all bitter and angry and all this stuff, and just left the floor, left their friends high and dry. And, now they're saying, oh, I'm going, I'm running as an independent, or I'm changing to a different party and all this stuff. And it's like, and then Steve Sheets didn't show up. He's the immediate past chair, or was.
He didn't even show up?
He didn't even show up. Or at least I didn't see him.
Wow. He shows up to fucking everything, Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, all over the country, he shows up to shit. All the LNC meetings, everything. He didn't even show up to his own damn state convention.
Because here's the thing. These people have been using our newsletters. They've been abusing our data to send out mailers. And this whole time, they've been painting us as the devil. And all the growth that's been happening in the party is squarely attributable to them. And we haven't done anything. We didn't help with any of the elections and all this nonsense. I think for them to have to reap what they sowed, and
you're an elected libertarian, Mike.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a inspector of elections, and not just any inspector of elections. I'm a majority inspector of elections. Okay, and so I do consulting for campaigning now. By the way, nice. $75 an hour. I will show you how to win.
Sounds like some real Nick Sarwark shit, dude.
Exactly, man. And but yeah, it's just disgusting behavior, and it shows real cowardice that they wouldn't come and face the results of what they themselves did. And even now, like, one thing that really annoys me, it's a pet peeve of mine, is like, I'm sure we can get into like what happened with governor, and I fucked up a little bit on the governor thing, but like I immediately went to my Facebook and like explained my thought process, took responsibility for that. I remember in 2018 when we didn't win, first thing I did is I went to Facebook and said, I failed here, I failed there. Like, and that's just how I operate. Like my first instinct is, where did I go wrong? And where can I improve?
Right.
There is none of that with these people. Like if it doesn't go their way, it's obviously everybody but them. And I just think that's like seriously disgusting, immature, and resentful behavior.
Sure.
I have no respect for.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, I mean, could you imagine this? First of all, it's admission through projection, right? Because they always said that once we lost, we would leave. Do you remember that in 2018? I got my ass handed to me by Nick Sarwark. Okay, I went to 25 states. I put it all on the line. I sacrificed fucking everything for that campaign. You know that, dude. You personally know what I went through for that campaign. And I was hurt, dude. Like when I lost, I fucking just melted, bro. Like it was like, fuck, dude, I put in so much time and energy and money and all this shit to do this, and I just got fucking embarrassed. I got what would I end up getting, like fucking 12% of the vote or something? Is nothing, right?
No, it was like 22.
Was it 22? Okay, whatever. It was good for somebody that nobody knew, but it was bad for after all the energy I put into it. And emotionally, I was just fucking drained. If you look at pictures of me from the beginning of my campaign to the end of the campaign, dude, it fucking run me ragged, right? But they kept saying, you know, now you guys can all go back to the Republicans. You can all go back to the Republicans. You're going to leave anyways. You were always going to leave. And it was like, we were never going to leave. You guys are the ones that are leaving when you lose, not us. Our resolve stayed strong. We showed that we have intestinal intestinal fortitude, and we stuck around and persevered. I mean, that's what happened. And that's to me, you know, the Pennsylvania, it's like, so there was a lot of really good conventions that we took this year, right? As Mises Caucus, Iowa, even some crazy ones we didn't expect. We did really good in Arizona, obviously Florida, California. I mean, the caucus is doing good.
I will get into that. I'm going to have a live TV moment though. I need you to do a plug. I'm having some fucking heartburn. I'm going to go take a shot of vinegar real quick.
Okay,
and I'll be back.
Go take a shot of it. We're going to do a little break here for.
My bad.
First of all, Sim Calpin, what's up, Sim Calpin? Thanks for the $12 super chat. He said, Joshua, I heard Clint Russell say he would smoke you in a rap battle. I am unsure. How can we make this happen? Well, first of all, Clint's from like the really rich part of San Diego or Southern California, and I'm from Oakland. That's all I got to say. He can't beat me in a rap battle. That will never happen. But if you guys want to see it happen, let's start raising some money for charity, and we'll make it happen. If you guys are just showing up, don't forget we have this awesome Dave Smith as Murray Rothbard shirt that is signed by all kinds of wonderful people, including Dave Smith himself, Justin Amash, Larry Sharp, Angela McCardle, Mike Mahari from the 10th Amendment Center, your friend Clint Russell, Fat Dave, No Way Jose, Larry, did I say Larry Sharp? Myself, and some other cool people that we are auctioning off. Currently, the highest bid is $50. If you wanna bid on it, drop a $1 or higher super chat and tell me what the price is over $50 that you're willing to pay for the shirt. I'll make sure it gets shipped to you guys by next week. I am going to be in Michigan tomorrow night. We're driving up. I'm taking the family to Michigan tomorrow night. For the Michigan State Convention in Ann Arbor. So if you guys are in that area, please come hang out. Let's have a beer. Let's talk. I'm not quite. Apparently, some people in Florida were surprised that I'm not like a stuck-up asshole, but I'm not. I'm really just a normal blue-collar, down-to-earth guy that's more than willing to have a couple shots of whiskey and talk shop with you guys. So if you're in the Ann Arbor area this weekend, I'll be there to hang out. Patrick Leisner, thank you, sir, for the $55 bid. We are now up to $55 on this awesome, amazing shirt. And Michael has returned. You smell like vinegar, buddy.
Yeah, home remedy moment there, man. If you ever get heartburn, I feel completely relieved, dude. Like you can feel it erase that shit on the way down. If it's just a little bit of apple cider vinegar.
I've never tried that, and I get really bad fucking heartburn. Like my bad stomach's like running my mom's side of the family, and so like anything I eat, I mean, I can have a piece of bread and it ends up giving me heartburn, and so I'll have to give that a try because I do a lot of Rolaids and Tums, man. I live on the shit.
Yeah, so my bad about that, but yeah, try it. You literally feel it melt away as it's like I'm good now.
I'm gonna have to give it a try, man. I never have. So anyways, so we took all the board spots in Pennsylvania. Things are looking really good. Then you guys
all the delegates.
Yeah, I want to get into
47 out of 49.
Yeah, I want to get into that, okay? Because here's the thing. I didn't expect Pennsylvania to end up with all the delegates, dude. Like that's. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know you guys before the convention. I was like, okay, well they're gonna take these board spots. They're gonna take the chair. I don't know. We'll see how I don't know how your delegate selection process goes. We'll see what happens. And
there isn't one. That's the problem.
Yeah. You guys. I remember it was always kind of wonky when I was in Philadelphia. There was some weird shit going on trying to seat people from out of state, like James Weeks and all this. But can you tell me? So there was a list. So Nick Sarwark's going around saying that you guys are corrupt and that you switched the list on everybody and blah 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 blah. What happened?
Was it that the list was switched? So no, what happened was, I'm actually the only person that I'm aware of that worked with other people to come up with a method to vote for the delegation. So I worked with our information systems committee chair, our secretary, and this chick who was the chair of both our membership committee and the convention committee. And I had them all sold on this idea of using, you remember for the national convention, those Helios forms that we were using.
Yep.
And, we use that for the entire thing here in PA. And, I had seen a problem maybe 10 days beforehand where it's like, we're going to have something like 300 to 350 people voting each 49 times for 49 slots out of a pool of, 80 people or whatever it might have been. And that just wasn't tenable. Like there's going to be a mistake in there.
Right.
So I went to them and said, hey, why don't we just like make a form, a Helios form. We'll get people to sign up. And then the idea was that by the time we gavelled out for Saturday, that everybody would be on the sign up sheet. All the names on there would be filled into the Helios form. That would go out that night and close by the beginning of business on Sunday, and the results announced, by the end of convention. And everybody was like, yeah, this is a great idea, blah, blah, blah. Well, then I proposed that, and it's like, no, you can't do that because, and I hadn't even thought of this, but, there's people who are credentialed that might not have been on the floor that would receive the form in their email. Right. So it's like electronic voting, and you can't do that. So that basically left us, we were back at square one when that was shot. So at that point, we didn't want delegate selection to get into Sunday because there's always that drop off. So what we did was we did a motion to suspend the rules. We had our list of 49 people that signed up to be Mises Caucus delegates, and that's who we were going to elect anyway. Right. So the result was going to be the same. So I motioned to suspend the rules and pounded that through right before the end of business on Saturday. And we got all of them. Chuck Moulton's on there. There's a couple people that are friendlies, but so I would say 47 out of 49.
That's pretty wild, man. Well, so Nick Sarwark seems to think that it was corrupt and backhanded and stuff. But is there any scenario where Nick Sarwark could have gotten a delegate slot in Pennsylvania?
Nah. He had a better chance of getting treasurer in New Hampshire.
Damn. Well, that's the thing. I mean, the guy couldn't even get sat as a delegate in his own state, so he had to come to your state to try and get sat as a delegate. I'm very much looking forward to showing up to a national convention where Nick Sarwark is not a delegate at all.
He can't even get to the mic. Yeah.
It would be just absolutely beautiful to me. And I don't know. I'm sure he'll find a way to finagle. I'm sure he will. He'll find a state that will somehow suspend some rule to include him because they're Nick Sarwark suckers. But it would just be so beautiful to show up to the national convention in Reno and he can't even get to a mic.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no more filibustering out of him.
Yeah.
Because I think that's going to be what happens in Reno. Once they see that we have the room, they're just going to try to filibuster.
Sure. Oh yeah, that's what's going to happen. There's no doubt about it. They're also going to. I've heard they're going to try to show up to allow online voting, but that's something that we're going to shoot down no matter what. Matthew Lucas, thanks for the $10 super chat. He said West Virginia tomorrow. Weather's going to make it hard to travel across the state. Going to be a close one. Man, you guys got to take West Virginia. It's come on.
I think we're going to have a hell of a weekend this weekend.
Yeah.
We got what? Colorado, Michigan, New Jersey, and West Virginia.
And New Jersey should be good. New Jersey should be good. Colorado should be good.
They should all be good.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Michigan. And so here's the thing. I've never been to the Michigan State Convention before. It's the one of the very few states that I have not showed up to over the last 5 years. And it's always kind of been the Lion's Den, right? Like the Viper Pit, if you will, where I knew if I showed up, I was going to get booed and it was going to be one of those places that sucked. And, that's where all the Libertarian Party socialist people were. They had a lot of the loser brigade there, audacious people. And, so I didn't show up, and now I'm driving up there, but I'm bringing my whole family. So if you guys fuck with my family, expect to get hurt. But let's talk about the delegate selection around the country. I know you're keeping the count close to your chest, but how are things going through the state convention process?
Oh, they're going good, man. We're very happy with how things are going. I mean, it ebbs and flows. We've exceeded expectations in some areas. We came under expectations in some other areas. But I would say overall, we are right on with where we expected and right where we want to be. So, I mean, there's several states that we have flipped that people don't seem to realize that we have flipped. And I think they're going to realize come convention. We're taking measures to support our delegates to make it as easy as possible for them to come out there, giving them some lodging support, stuff like that, that is helping to increase the turnout. But overall, man, I think if we put it this way, if you've got the numbers to take the majority of delegates in a state, you've got the numbers to elect leadership in that state as well. So it's just a matter of at least in those states, of do we have the people running for all of the positions? And, that'll remain to be seen. But either way, we have the numbers, and that's ultimately what matters. So, yeah, man, I would say we're well over 50% of the party at this point in terms of like how many state parties do we have the numbers in. And I personally think that Pennsylvania is kind of the backbreaker. And I think that's why you're seeing the just unfathomable sadness that you're seeing across the country, like the kind of metaphor that I've been using with what just happened with Pennsylvania and the manner in which we just did Pennsylvania is kind of the bear Jew scene in the Inglourious Bastards.
Oh, dude, you said Jew. You're a bigot now. Where's my Fuentes soundbite? There it goes.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the backbreaker. I think the picture is more the Reno picture is more painted than it isn't at this point. And especially after this weekend, yeah, man. I don't want to give numbers and percentages and all that kind of stuff, but we feel good.
Yeah, you're feeling good about it. I'm feeling good about it. I think it's really, really great what's going on, man. How sweet was it watching the losers break down? We're going to talk more about this in the after hours, but I'm so upset that I wasn't there to watch it in person and like get to feel the energy. You know what I mean? It's different when you're in a room than when you're watching a live stream. You get to feel the energy. I mean, was the energy just completely sucked out of the building or what?
Oh no, the energy was amazing because it was 340 people and 80% of them were us. So they were more of a sideshow. We dominated that convention socially, energy, politically, number. Like we dominated that convention in every way. So like for me, my main feeling isn't actually like savoring that they lost. It's more relief. Like I'm relieved that we don't have to fight these people anymore. And we can just get to building programs. Like, do you realize that there's no program in Pennsylvania, like in our state party, where it's like a program to evaluate who all is running and use some metric to determine who the high viability races are? See, hey, are you running a head-to-head? Have you run before? Are you knocking doors? Any of this stuff, and then start to rank order those and say, okay, we've got a budget of X and we want to start expending money into the the top 5 of this rank order because they seem like the best opportunities based on these. There's nothing like that. Like it's crazy to me, man. Like the thing that I'm realizing is that there has been no phone banking in this party for 50 years. Like and it's absolutely unbelievable to me that
in the state party.
I think for generally speaking across the entire party. Because I mean, you're behind the scenes, you're helping some people out, you're helping some organizers out, and you see what we've got going on, the kind of the organizational mechanisms and support systems and stuff like that we have. This does not exist, and I don't think it ever has existed. Because that's I mean, we're not doing brain surgery, man. Like what we're doing is hard work, but it's not complicated,
right?
And it's working, and everyone's like. Nobody seems to be able to fathom that we're doing what we're doing. It's like, it must be fucking Steve Bannon. Like, what?
You
know what I mean? Like, and yeah, it's just unbelievable.
Oh yeah, we're all Republican infiltrators, which is always been like a funny thing for me because I've been a registered libertarian voter since 2010. I mean, we're talking 12 years, right? Long before I ever ran for anything in the party. And I've been a dues-paying party member since then for the first time, and then again the second time in 2015. So 7 years ago. You know what I mean? And it's just so bizarre to me that it's like they can take no responsibility for their own faults whatsoever. Zero. Not even a little bit.
But to further answer your question, the thing that was felt the best to me anyway, it wasn't even sweeping the officers and all that stuff. It's going into our after party room. And, there's a lot of people that like I know and I've met them before, but there's a lot of people that I had never physically met before. And that means that they were there for it. And they got a whiff of the culture that we have and the community that we have. And they had a great fucking time. Those people are now going to be with us in. And I had multiple people, come up to me and tell me that, people who never seen Tom Woods talk before or never seen Dave Smith talk before live, and they get that energy. And like, that's the thing that really excites me because this is something that we have as the Mises Caucus that the rest of the party just doesn't understand, that we are a nationwide community, and out of that community has now emerged a culture. And that's the thing that binds us together, so that when we do get fucking cheated in Pennsylvania and they just don't credential people last year, that's what keeps people from quitting, because we have a community. Right. We have a culture. We have a good time to have together doing this shit.
Well, yeah, it's like when we lost. So we lost in 2018. We got some good wins in 2020, and we're fucking killing it this year. But that's because when we lose, that's not all we have, right? Right. And you're exactly right. It's a community, and there's so much work going on, and there's so many people doing things, and there's so many avenues to talk to each other as well, that it's like it didn't matter that we lost because we still had each other. It's really about the friends we made along the way, buddy, right? At the end of the day. And that's what's kept everybody go. Look, dude, I've had people go after my grandmother, my kids, my fucking mother, my entire family, my personal life, my jobs. I've had people call jobs, try to get me fired from jobs. If I didn't have anybody like you and the Mises Caucus and the people that have supported me over the last 5 years, like I don't know where I'd be, dude. But it definitely wouldn't still be in the Libertarian Party.
But that's the key. This is the key to everything. And it's where, now I know Young Americans for Liberty is going through some turmoil and shit. Well, thanks, that's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate. But this is something that they had. People are like, oh, it's a big frat. Like, that's a bad thing. Like, oh yeah, those guys are constantly attaboying each other after making 5,000 phone calls in a state house district. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, how terrible is that? And we have that same thing going on now, where everyone's got their back, or it has each other's back, and they know that and they feel that. And that is the thing that I'm most proud of, because what it resembles to me is that same thing that was going on with the Ron Paul moment. It was like every time you met a Ron Paul supporter, it was like you met a new best friend. And there was no arguments, there was no debating, there was no questioning the utility of what was going on. It was all self-evident. We were having a great fucking time doing it. And that's what it's all about, man. And whether it's, the Mises Caucus and the Libertarian Party, or whether it's the GOP strategy, or whether it's agorism, none of this shit's going to work without a community that gives a fuck about each other and has those bonds. No, that is what I have realized is the prerequisite, no matter what strategy is.
Right. Yeah, absolutely, man. I agree 100%. Shout out to Almighty Beach for dropping 69.69. Nice for the Dave Smith shirt. Once again, little break. Sorry if you guys aren't aware, we are auctioning off a Dave Smith as Murray Rothbard shirt right here. The current total bids are up to $69.69. Nice. And you can put in your bid by dropping a $1 or more super chat and telling me how much you would like to give over $69.69. Of course, I want to shout out some super chatters here. Thank you very much to Sim Calpin. I always mess that up. Joshua, the trolls are typing in higher amounts than they are actually super chatting. FYI. Yes, I know that. They're going to pay PayPal after the show, whoever the highest bidder is. Tim Crosby Jr., thank you for the $10 super chat. He says, I love you both. # Reno Reset. Correct. So, buddy, we're getting towards the end of this thing, man. But I mean, what is your outlook on Reno? I mean, I want an honest opinion from you. I know you are, like I said, playing it close to the chest on the number of delegates. Of course, I get that. But you're also a cautiously optimistic person at heart. That's how you've been the entire time you know me. I'm more like Leroy Jenkins. Like I just storm in and fucking start kicking doors and shit. You know how I roll. But I mean, give us an honest answer. I mean, what are you thinking for Reno, buddy?
So long as people follow through on what they said they're going to do and all that, it's good, man. But at the same time, that doesn't mean that we should get overconfident or cocky or, we got this in the bag. What are they can afford to miss me. I'm one delegate. No. Because even if we have a majority, we want 2/3. Because if we need to get the gavel out of somebody's hand who's sympathetic to Will McVeigh, then we need to do that, So I think we're going to come in strong, but the more we do, the better we do, the more we can control it and have a Pennsylvania-like outcome. And ultimately, that's what we want. We want to not just win, we want to assert dominance so that we can show these people that your old paradigm is done here. It's finished. And it's a new beginning. It's a new vision. It's a new strategy. And it's for maybe the first time in the history of the party, a long-term strategy.
Sure.
So I feel really good, but people need to follow through, and people need to not, rest on their laurels either, because we're dealing with essentially cornered animals, and that's never predictable.
Sure, absolutely. We don't want to just win. We want to absolutely shake their entire faith in their own institution. We want to destroy and decimate and then build. I mean, that's really what it's all about at this point. And I use that word destroy, and a lot of people are going to cut that and be like, he wants to destroy the party. Yes, you're right. I want to destroy the Libertarian Party as it has existed for 50 years and make it something that's successful, can actually go out and fight the two-party system. And I say that like the bumper sticker, but what I mean is tyranny, right? This corruption that we've just went through for the last 2 years. I want a party that's ready to take those things on head on. And let's just be honest, the people before us weren't doing it, dude. They weren't getting it done. They were absolutely happy to sit there in Vermont on their little chair at their little meeting with 5 people and not let anyone join the party and just be nothing and do nothing.
And this is another, and that is absolutely true. But what we need to realize is the fact that they have been like that for 50 years is our fault. We let them have it. We let them do this. And
specifically Murray Rothbard's fault.
Yeah. But because of that fact, it is our responsibility to do right by the namesake of our legacy.
Right.
And that's what this is really all about. Because, people want to talk about, I've heard even Jeff Dice, at times say, oh man, maybe the word libertarian has lived out its usefulness and, this kind of stuff. But I find that kind of stuff to be crazy because, we as the Mises Caucus, we kind of have this understanding that it's ideas before politics, and ideas infect culture. And that's why libertarianism needs to be a cultural movement.
Sure.
And a very key component of culture is language and linguistic domain. So we might not have much, but we have a little island of linguistic domain. And that is the word libertarian. And that's what we need that needs to be the tip of the spear to drive through for who and what we are. And from there we can scale up, and people might not realize. And I know, you look at the news, you look at the gas prices, you look at lumber prices, you look at food prices, and it's easy to get blackpilled, but it's always darkest before dawn. And what I see is in addition to all of that dark shit, I see libertarians hitting the counterculture like never before. I mean, people don't realize the extent to which Dave Smith is friends with Joe Rogan. Now he's got Joe Rogan talking to or thinking about Scott Horton. I was on the phone with Scott Horton yesterday. He's like, oh yeah, I was just messaging back and forth with Tulsi Gabbard because she heard Scott mention me on Rogan's show, and Malice is taking pictures of Elon, is hanging out and taking pictures of Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, and Alex Jones are in front of a Cybertruck, and we're right there, and those are our people. You know what I mean? So by extension, we are this close to the counterculture, and that's going to be the thing that shakes it up.
Sure.
And so it's a huge opportunity. We have the opportunity, if we get our shit right in the party, to eclipse Ron Paul. That's a scary thing for me to say, but we have that opportunity because we can have something that even the Ron Paul campaign didn't have through the party, which is a staging ground for the community. The campaign served that, but it was temporary. And then once that stopped, it kind of dissipated. But now we can have a long-term strategy, and we can have an infrastructure for that community to come together and carry out that strategy. And once that happens, it's just going to snowball and keep going. And that's what I see. And I see a lot of hope in that.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I agree, dude. I really do. And it's hard for me. it's hard for me to say something like that too. Like, you know how, listen, people are like, oh, the cult of personality, the cult of the, yes, very much the cult of personality for me and Ron Paul. Ron Paul was my cultural awakening. I mean, he's the reason why I'm here. He's the reason I'm doing these things. And the man endorsed me last year. It was like full circle, right? But it's true, dude. It's really true. We have that opportunity to eclipse that entire movement as this movement, because there's 50 to 60 to 70 Ron Pauls in our little movement. You know what I mean? Like and they're all growing in who they are. They're all growing as a Politico. They're all growing their own communities. I mean, we really do have an opportunity to splinter out like 50 Ron Pauls here. I mean, it's a big deal.
And not only that, but when Ron Paul was doing his thing, you still were kind of filtered through strictly the corporate media. And that's why that's why, especially back then, the whole "we got to run as Republicans" thing, it made a lot more sense then, because that's the only way that, like, through those primary debates, that he got that media attention. That's not the way the game is played anymore. The game is now Tim Pool, Joe Rogan,
right.
Patrick Bet-David, and all these other dudes. That's where people are getting their information from nowadays. So the game is different, and our people are friends with all of these people. You know what I mean? Like, and like, again, people don't realize the extent to which Joe and Dave are friends, or the extent to which Joe reaches out to Dave to ask his opinion on issues so that he could then incorporate that into his opinion on the show. Like, and that shit's real. So, like, you know, it's no secret we're pushing for Dave Smith 24. That's what we want. Is Dave Smith going to get into the debates? And that's been the big thing for the past, 50 years. Like, oh my God, we got to get in the debates. That's what everything's about. Maybe. I still would say I seriously doubt it, but I don't fucking care, because what happens if you have a situation, instead of Dave getting into the debates, you have Rogan, Tim Pool, and like Dave Rubin coming together and saying, we're going to host our own fucking debates. Like, and I could see something like that happening.
Oh, dude, if Joe Rogan, listen, I'm gonna put it this way right now, dude. If Joe Rogan put on a presidential debate, it would be the most watched presidential debate of all time. I mean, listen, this is real shit, dude. Joe Rogan gets like way more listeners every day than CNN does every day. And that number like quadruples when he has people like Alex Jones on the show. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm telling you can look this up. This is true. He gets more attention and more listeners than CNN does every single day.
Oh my God, by far, like 10 times.
It's not even close. I mean, we're talking like 100 million listens when he has Alex Jones on his damn show, dude. Like, it's insane, dude. Insane. So that would be, and you're right. It is a new wave, dude. It's a new time, and we've never had a libertarian presidential campaign that could get themselves into any kind of independent media like that at all.
Yeah.
Ever.
It wasn't available. It wasn't available. And it was. Not only was it
the last couple of years, it's
not like now, man. Not like now. I mean, you have pirate radio and shit like that, but it's a whole different ball game now. And I think it's for that reason that it's important that we do the Libertarian Party thing, right? Because it's fresh. I mean, yeah, it's 50 years old and shit, but it's different, and we can meaningfully separate ourselves culturally, narratively from the Republicans or the Democrats and all that stuff. Sure. So, like, again, when the attention is all funneled through the media and only Republicans or Democrats can get attention from the media, it makes a lot more sense to say, okay, we need to do that. But when when Larry Sharp is getting on Tim Pool and Joe Rogan and Dave Smith's regularly getting on Rogan, there's Reed Coverdale is getting on fucking Kennedy. I mean, they're going down the bench, and
I wasn't at all jealous at all. Not even a little bit.
And Dave is also friends with Greg Gutfeld.
Right.
And Greg Gutfeld's beating if you look at his ratings, he's beating all of the late night comedy shows that are propaganda pieces and all that shit. So, like, it's important that we do it as the LP, in my opinion, because we are narratively different. And that's the important thing. We have to set not just like the message, but the narrative. And we can't be shackled by the narrative and the culture that exists in the GOP. And we have that opportunity to set our own narrative now because we have access to all of this shit.
True.
The example that I like to give to make this point is You know, you go out and you talk to people about Rand Paul, you know, me and you and you know, charitable libertarians, let's say, that we know that Rand Paul is a fucking libertarian, but we also know that he's playing a political game as opposed to Ron's ideas game. But the consequence of that has been now that most people, Rand Paul is indistinguishable from Trump now, narratively speaking. And so he might have gained more power as a senator, but he's lost his voice. You know, where is the Rand Paul revolution? There isn't one. So like, that's why we have to do it through the LP and through this new media.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I just want to shout out a couple people real quick. First of all, thank you, TJ Fitzsimmons, for throwing a $10 super chat and also bidding $150 on the shirt. But Almighty Beach one-upped you with 175, so we are currently at 175 now. Thank you, Almighty Beach. Also, Michael Bolden is in the chat. Everyone say hi, nice. Mike. Make sure you say hello to Michael Bolden. He's not the 10th Amendment Center guy who signed our shirt. It's actually Mike Mahari that signed the shirt. The other Mike from 10th Amendment Center. Some people call him Michael Bolden's Mike. That's what he said. But they're two separate people who and they are both amazing in their own rights. Also, Fakertarians are in the chat, so make sure and drop a nerd in the live chat for those guys. They're losers and they don't belong here. So, but you know,
something about Bolden, and I don't know how many people in your audience are like long time fans of the 10th Amendment Center. But, you know, back in the day, Bolden had this idea of like 10th cells and Dave Benner running for region, whatever, Florida, Tennessee, and Georgia is, I think 3. You know, he was one of the heads of these 10th cells. And, you know, I remember having a conversation with Bolden. He was like, man, because the idea was that you have these teams of people who were pushing these nullification bills all over the country. But Bolden said, like, oh man, it just got unwieldy. It's too much effort. We can be the 10th cells. That's the whole point. You know what I mean? And we can be the teams that push forward nullification at the local level, at the state level, where we can pull that off. You know, we can do those phone banks to your state reps and all of that kind of stuff. So like, again, you don't hear the LP talking about this. You don't hear them talking about issue coalitions and nullification and all that shit. But that's what we want to do. That's why we want to take over. We want to take this strategy of national messaging and bold messaging from national for the purposes of recruiting, and then funneling it down into local level decentralization, nullification based action. That's the plan long term. So like their plan is, my God, I hope, you know, we get 15% of the vote once every 4 years. and that's their long term plan. Right. My long term plan is, how do we get 10,000 city councilors and mayors and just like, create the 1,000 Liechtensteins basically.
Right. And that's what we need to do, man. And I agree. And so how do you feel about things like the Free State Project, man? How do you feel? Do you think if more states did that, you'd be really successful like like New Hampshire, or what?
I mean, that's Free State Project's killing it.
Okay, but good. I'm glad you said that, because we endorsed the Free State Project on this show. So. Oh,
I mean, they're killing it. Do I think every state could do it? No, I don't think there's enough of us to make it work in every state. And I think that's kind of the appeal of New Hampshire.
No, I'm saying, do you think that other states should try to do it? I mean, there are other states that are small enough. I mean, you got Rhode Island, you got some states in the Midwest, Idaho. I mean, there are other states. It would be worth a shot,
but it'd be worth a shot. But at the same time, it's not like New Hampshire is its own free republic yet, and it's taken them how long has that been around? Like 15 years. I mean, it's certainly bearing fruit. But my whole point is. It depends on what happens with the counterculture. If we can actually get and tap into that vein where you're talking tens of millions of people, and you start to shave off 5% of that coming our way, then we're talking a whole new ball game. And if we have the resources to do a free Rhode Island or a free whatever after that, then yeah. Right now, I think people should just stick with the Free State Project and make New Hampshire a self-governing entity. And secede.
I agree. One of their state legislators called today for leaving the union, and people are losing their mind. And I'm just like, in my head, nice. I'm like, Lord Jesus, I see what you've done for other people, and I really want that for me as well. I know that will never happen with Iowa, though. We do have a pretty decent state for being as cold as it is. But man, brother, everything sounds like it's going wonderful. It's finally bearing the fruit that we hoped it would. Tim in the chat wants to know who you think is going to win the vice chair race, bro.
So right now, I mean, I'm friends with Eric, but I don't see him around much right now.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what he's doing.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He misses the Mises meetups too in all the states he goes to, except for Florida. He came, and then Dave endorsed me right in front of him, and I think he got upset. But it's heating up. No, I like Eric too, and I've talked about that on the show. I like Eric a lot. He's a nice guy. I'm running a clean campaign with Eric. I'm not going to personally attack the guy. He's very, very nice. He's a wonderful person. His husband's really nice. I like them. They're nice people. I've had drinks with him. We had beers on the beach in Florida just a couple weeks ago. He's a nice guy. But I'm going to win, Mike.
I know you're making calls.
Oh, I'm making calls, buddy. I'm making calls. I'm making house calls. I'm making state calls. I'm making phone calls. But brother, I appreciate all the work you do, dude. Like you're really this has been a long time coming, man, and I'm glad it's finally giving you what you deserve, brother.
You too, man.
Yeah.
So it's. I mean, well, let me. I know you're coming to the end, but let me ask you one question.
Sure.
Is like, because you were there at the beginning, and like that when this all started, the scope of this whole thing was like, man, we just can't let Bill Weld be the nominee, and that was kind of the big thing at that point.
Are you sure it wasn't directly over Nick Sarwark's comments about Charlottesville? Because that's what I was told we started it for.
That's just the worldview. No, that was just like the white nationalist worldview is the animating factor underneath it, but it wasn't the catalyzing. No, that's fucking ridiculous. Yeah. We happened after Charlottesville.
Sure.
But no, the whole thing in the beginning was we can't let Bill Weld be the 2020 nominee because he could actually he could potentially be allowed in the debates by the gatekeepers, and then the word is over. That linguistic domain is sunk into the ocean.
Right.
And that was the scope at the beginning. This whole idea that we're going to have a PAC, we're going to fund local level candidates, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to have this huge national organizing apparatus and all of that shit. That didn't even start to formulate until like 19. Because I remember when we did lose in 18, and I did go to Facebook and I said I failed here, and here. That was the first thing I said.
I did the same thing.
I did not take the state team shit seriously enough, and so I mean, what are your thoughts just seeing this whole thing evolve from that very kind of narrow framework and that narrow scope to like
it's a well-oiled machine, dude. And I talk about this shit on the show all the time, right? Like I'm telling you, dude, when I was spamming the Facebook group in 2017, and I was spamming the fucking Facebook group, there was only like 55 people in there, maybe 100 and something at that point by the time I started. But when I first got into that group, there was nobody. I didn't even know who you were, dude. Like I didn't know anything about you. In fact, it was Vinny.
We didn't want to support you at first.
Yeah,
we didn't want to support you.
And in fact,
we were trying to throw Hail Marys at Judge Knapp and shit.
Yeah, you guys were like, we got to find somebody hella big to run for chair. I was like, no, listen, dude, I'm going to do it. I got this. And you're like, who the fuck are you? And but it was Vinny Marshall that was like, hey man, I know you're running for chair. He's one of my best friends since we were like 12. I mean, we were little kids, right? And he's like, you got to get a hold of Mike Heise. You got to go with those guys. Those are your people. Those are the people that are going to support you. So I came into the group. I don't think there was 100 people in there. I mean, you got thousands now, but I don't think there was 100 people in there. And I started spamming the group every day. Hey man, I want to be your guys' chair candidate, please. And we talked for several, like a month maybe.
I remember I was in a parking lot.
Yeah. And then finally we were like, fuck it, let's do it. And it was like, we didn't have any support, dude. There was no fundraising. There was no state organizers. There was no national volunteer organizers. There was no delegate organization. You didn't have money to support candidates. You didn't have candidate committees. And now all that shit is come to fruition to the point of where you're a well-oiled machine. You got someone in every state. There's a national team that's helping to and I'm watching it. And don't get me wrong. I have my criticisms too, bro. I do. And I'm not gonna put them out publicly, but we used to be men of the people. We used to go down and talk to all the lowly people, right, in the caucus. And I think that you've put some buffers between you and them a little bit. And I understand because it's huge. It's a big, huge thing, right? It's not like it used to be.
Yeah, it's hard. I do my best. I'll say that.
Yeah, and if I had any criticism, that would be it. You know what I mean? Because Michael Heise is a man of the people. You always have been, and that's why people. that's why people come to you, right? That's why people want to come and support your cause, because you're just like me. You're just a down-to-earth, blue-collar, working-class guy who is like, hey, man, I found some success in this movement, and I'm helping grow it, and we're going to do something fucking big and beautiful and be a part of history, dude. And so I think that's where you've succeeded the most, in my opinion, is that you've gotten so many people on board with your message and your vision, because you're just a personable, likable, normal guy. You know what I mean? Like Joe LaJoy, just a regular, everyday, normal guy, right? But no, it is a beautiful thing, dude. I am super, super proud of all the work that you've done, and Jeff Douglas and Luke Enzer and even David Hines and all these wonderful people that have put in a lot of work, man. I love you guys to death. You're my brothers in arms. I'll go to battle with you any day. Thanks again, man. But before we go, can you tell all these great people where they can get support you and listen to you and see you and all that stuff, man?
Yep. So lpmisescaucus.com. If you sign up on the form there, our organizers will get in touch with you as soon as possible. And then you can go to misesmerch.com. We've got the Ron Paul Be Brave design. We've got the Hoppa, doing what must be done since 2017 design. We're adding new stuff there all the time. Top Lobster helps us out with designs in our store as well. Mitch down in Florida helps us out with designs. And then if you like what you hear and you got more money than you do time, you can go to takehumanaction.com and you can donate to Mises Pack.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You're killing it, buddy. You're really doing a good job, and I appreciate everything and all the work that you guys are doing. If you just give me a few minutes, I'll close this out. We'll start the members only stream where we'll go in there and talk about your choice for governor candidate and give you a little chance to talk there. And we'll also talk a lot of shit about Nick Sarwark and John Waldberger and the stupid fakertarians there in the chat, if that's cool with you.
Cool, man.
All right, thanks again, brother. Yep.
Peace.
Yeah. All right, guys, another awesome episode of Break the Cycle. Listen, we are currently at $175 for this awesome shirt. If you haven't seen it, it's Dave Smith as Murray Rothbard, signed by all kinds of wonderful people, including myself, Dave Smith, Top Lobster, Mike Mahari from the 10th Amendment Center, Fat Dave, No Way Jose, Clint from Liberty Lockdown, Angela McCardle, Larry Sharp, who else? Oh, and Justin Amash. And let me tell you, going up to Justin Amash and asking him to sign a Dave Smith shirt was one of the coolest things I did in Florida. I'm not going to lie, it was a lot of fun. He was a little reluctant, but he's a good sport. I was listening to a talk a little bit, and he sounds a little more based than he did last year. Hopefully that guy keeps getting more based as we go along. But you do have about one more minute left to drop your bid on that shirt if you want to one up the 175, and I will get it through PayPal, and then you guys can just get it shipped right to you. But before we take off, please go check out our sponsors. Of course, we have toplobster.com, the man, the myth, the legend, my good friend and partner on Break the Cycle, where you can get this great Dave Smith shirt without the signatures by using BTC at checkout for a 10% discount, and also this great pillow that you see on my couch during all my streams. Or, guys, seriously, go check out the Patreon Subscribe-Star and or become a member of the YouTube channel. That's where you get into the after-hours chats like that we're about to go have live right now. You also get stuff uploaded there. You get into a private Discord server with really fucking cool people, like amazing people, where you can get all of Top Lobster's brand new gear. When he puts stuff out, he's kind of been, me and him have both kind of taken a little lull here, but we're getting back to it. But when Top Lobster puts out new stuff, he drops it in the Discord first, gives you a link there to buy it up to 30% off, which is huge discount for really, really great gear 2 weeks before it even goes to the general public, man. So really good stuff. If you're one of the lower tiered patrons or subscribers or YouTube members, you're really, if you're buying Top Lobster stuff, you're really actually just saving money by doing that. So good stuff, I promise you. Of course, executive producers of the show. Let me fix that. I need to fix that right now while everyone's on the stream. It's really low. There we go. We'll put it up a little bit higher there. Executive producers of the show, anthemplanning.com. For all your emergency and crisis planning needs, please check them out today. See what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. Man, they're wonderful people. And if you don't know, the owner of that wonderful business that supports the show, she is one of the Delaware libertarians that just got a huge win in Delaware when they got their party handed back to them from the shitheads that had tried to take over the party. We finally pushed the chair of the LNC far enough to send the letter and change the website on our own website to the correct affiliate website. So the nerds have been vanquished in Delaware, and partly because of the great Dr. Amy Lepore, who is the owner of Anthem Planning, and amazing people. So go check them out, see what they can do for your business, home, or personal life. As I said, they're wonderful, and they will do something great for your business if you own one. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I know things have been intermittent with the show, with the Patreon, with the Subscribe Star, and the YouTube, and the audio portion of this stuff. We're dealing with a lot right now with the new baby on the way, and also talking about adopting another baby, and also running the campaign and the show and work and stuff. So it is a lot right now. So I did go a little more intermittent, but we will be back up to doing more shows soon. I promise you. I've just started actually booking again. Sounds like I'm going to have Dr. Zelenko on the show soon. If you're not familiar, he's the Jewish doctor who was prescribing his patients ivermectin way back in the day before other doctors started doing it, and saying that he was getting results, that he treated every patient with it. I will have him booked soon, talking to him. So that's going to be a lot of fun. But anyways, guys, if you want to come hang out with us in the after hours, hit that join link under any of my videos right now. I will see you next week after I return from Michigan for another episode of Break the Cycle. But until then, don't forget to break the cycle.
Due to legal reasons, I just have to explain. The lyrics of my last song may seem to contain a violent call to action in the verse and refrain, but I just meant it in Minecraft. The helicopter part was in reference to GTA 5 and the things you do. So any violence you commit, I am not an excuse, because I just meant it in Minecraft. A chipper is my friend and he's constantly cold. Accusations of incitement getting totally old. Make your own choices, yeah, you have control, because I just meant it in Minecraft. Obviously I would never advocate force, unless there's due process and a trial, of course. And if you're convicted, we will make you a corpse in Minecraft, just in Minecraft. You're nothing I mean, you know it. No product finished cause it closed to COVID. Holy shit, I think I'm a poet. In Minecraft, in Minecraft.